A very good evening and a hearty welcome to all our viewers, members, subscribers of India SME Forum who have joined us this afternoon for the session on business beyond borders, international opportunities for MSMEs, and today our focus being Chile as a country and business opportunities that exist for entrepreneurs both from India and Chile uh, together. At India SME Forum, we have been conducting various programs, various focus sessions on international opportunities that exist with different countries. And today, our focus country will be Chile. India and Chile have a strong trade relationship with a total bilateral trade reaching $2.7 billion dollars in 23-24. India's exports to Chile was $1.17 billion, dollars, mainly covering agriculture products like rice, spices, fruits and coffee, flat rolled iron, steel products, and electrical machinery. India's exports saw a 1.42% increase from previous years. India's imports from Chile were 1.49 billion, mainly copper ore, halogens, sulfate chemicals, fruits and nuts, and the imports have grown by 5.45% this year. A preferential trade agreement also exists between the two countries, which was signed in 2007, and it covers products from chemical sector, pharmaceuticals, textiles, leather, and footwear. Trade between India and Chile has grown by 5.26% this year. And the session focus for today is also aiming at making this relationship stronger by the day. Our guest today is Mr. Jorge Loyola Castro. He is a seasoned professional in Mr. Jorge Loyola Castro is a seasoned professional in international trade and investment. Currently, he serves as the Chilean Trade Commissioner to India for Pro Chile. We would like to extend a hearty welcome to him for this session. Welcome, Jorge. Glad to have you on this session here today. With over 8 years of diverse experience spanning multiple countries, Jorge brings a wealth of global perspectives to his role. His expertise in navigating complex trade landscapes, combined with his economic acumen, positions him as a key figure in promoting Chilean interests and fostering economic ties between Chile and India. As part of his extensive experience, Jorge has led the inward investment agenda at the Department for International Trade, focusing on Chile, Central America, and Paraguay within the Latin American Regional Investment Team. In this role, he was instrumental in delivering high quality foreign direct investment into Chile, showcasing his ability to attract international capital and promote economic growth in his home country. Welcome, Jorge. And to speak with Jorge, we have Mr. Vinod Kumar, our president, whom most of our members and subscribers are familiar with. And I would like to welcome Mr. Kumar to engage Jorge into a conversation and tell us what kind of opportunities exist in Chile for our SMEs and when can we start traveling to Chile. So over to you, Mr. Kumar. And once again, before I hand over the stage to Mr. Kumar, I would like to wish all our subscribers a very happy Navratri and a very happy Ashtami today. So thanks, and I will come in again. Over to you, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, Sushma, and a warm welcome to Jorge for if coming, taking the time off specifically for reaching out and talking to our members. So it's a heartfelt welcome, Jorge, to the Indian community. It's been very few weeks that you've been actually part of the Chilean embassy in India. So how has been the experience so far, Jorge?
Wow, it's been quite a bumpy and interesting experience. As people say, I had to hit the ground running. I arrived to India more or less 3 months ago. And during the first month, we were asked to put together what was called the Chile Summit India, which was by far the most important event that my country has done in India, at least for the last 55 years. Good opportunity to tap into the Indian culture quickly and get to know new friends like India MSME Forum, among others. So very happy to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation, Vinod.
Excellent. While you're here, you've been in the UK earlier, and you've been in other countries earlier, talking about raising investments and promoting Chile. So, back home, when you look at the country, it's a completely sea-based country, a completely beach based country, and you have a democratic institution, a country which is highly digitized, from what I hear, and at the same time, it's very easy to actually set up a business and do business, from what I have gathered from reports from the UN and the WTO and other organizations. So what are the various initiatives or support programs that the Chilean government today offers its MSMEs, or how does it promote its MSMEs across this landscape? We talk about, financial, issues that MSMEs have, or sometimes a lot of issues relating to policies and compliance and so on. So what sort of a landscape for micro, small, medium enterprises is it there in Chile?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, it's interesting to say that, every country has a different way to sell themselves, right? We, unlike India, we're a small country. We are around 20 million people. If I compare that to India, that's not even the whole population of Delhi. So that brings things into perspective. So the strategy that my country has been following is basically act as a springboard for companies and international investors to tap into Chile, to use Chile as a test bed, to not only tap into Latin America, but also to other markets. We count with different programs and different services which are there for international investors. Having said that, I would say that we can divide the opportunities in different pillars or different verticals. So if I have to name one, I will name our development office called Corfo. For those who are more familiar with the UK, it's more similar than what it's called Innovate UK. So it's the innovation arm from the government. So that institution was built many years ago in order to bring diversification to our industry. So right now, what they do, basically, they offer different grants for companies to develop innovative initiatives with universities, prototype as well, high-tech with the usage of R&D, which is, of course, very important, and also grants for companies to start mapping into new markets. Because as I said, Chile is a very interesting market to test and to develop products, but companies rapidly need to move abroad to tap into other markets. So we have Corfo, which is an institution which brings or which equips companies with what they need in order to go to the next level, right? That's one thing. The other thing, what has been happening in my country, is private and public initiatives. So back in 1 month ago, when we had this delegation, this Chile Summit India delegation, which came, It was a joint effort from the private and public sector. So right now, what is happening in my country is that there are several institutions, such as Fundación Chile, which what they do is they act as a connector between big companies and SMEs or scale-ups, let's say, in order to develop open or innovation programs, or in order to track what are the needs that big companies have, and the MSMEs ecosystem can provide so they can link that. That's the second bit. The third one, it's another option for international companies called Startup Chile. Startup Chile is one of the first public accelerator, which was created in Chile back in 2010. And that's the story about Startup Chile is very interesting. The reason behind Startup Chile was that back 10 years ago, Chile realized that we didn't have an entrepreneurial mindset. We were very risk adverse. We were mostly working on the traditional sector, which is amazing, but for a country to develop needs diversification, right? So what the program did, and based, of course, on the academic reviews, we leveraged on what it's called the spillover effect, you know? So what we did basically, we said, okay, international entrepreneurs, come to Chile. We are giving you a 2 years visa. We're giving you funds so you can play around with your ideas. We are also going to give you co-working space so you can develop your products and services and start, testing and see how it goes. Well, it's been 10 years from that. And right now, what is interesting are the figures, right? From the beginning, more than 70% were foreigners who moved to Chile in order to develop the product and services. Right now, it's around 50-50, which is very interesting. And last but not least is the programs that we do in ProChile.
That makes it very exciting, Jorge, that, the fact that, you have so many possibilities for enterprises that are wanting to open up enterprises there, work with you. And the access you offer is not just the South American market, but also the entire North American continent very, very easily. So, when you look back at your country, what do you think are the key opportunities or the areas that Indian entrepreneurs can really look at? When we talk about opportunities, we can sort of break them into sectors or industries, or those are that are the most potential for Indian entrepreneurs to go and look at exploring partnerships or investments or expanding business to Chile. What sort of sectors and industries are you looking at?
Before saying that, we did this exercise when we did the one of the events in Mumbai, and if we were in person, I would have done it. So basically, we asked the audience, first of all, before this event, have you heard about Chile? And I think that back then, 10 people raised their hand. And then when we asked, how many of you have been in Chile? I think it was one or none. So it's interesting because it speaks about the challenges that we are having. So I think that I have the amazing job to start working on that, which is basically doing activities like this and spreading the word about the different initiatives that Chile has to offer, right? So before going to the sectors, I believe that the opportunities lie a little bit before, which has to do with the fact of raising awareness of, hey guys and girls, there is a country called Chile. It's very open, very friendly. We are very open for business. We are here to help. In this case, we have an office here in Delhi, and we have an office in Mumbai. So feel free to come in and talk more about it. So going into that, or moving a little bit forward, I think that the opportunities that are happening right now for Indian companies, first of all, there is an awareness, or an increase of the awareness that Chileans started having for India. Because before, what we knew about India were, of course, the big names, but India has way more to offer, right? So right now, I believe that India it's becoming a global player, of course, and Chile is becoming aware of that and wants to understand and get to know India better. That's one thing. And the best example that I can give is actually the event that just has happened. Aware of the opportunities that lies in India for Indian companies to come to Chile and Chilean companies and go in both ways, we did this event which aims to connect companies from both countries, right? I was looking at some numbers. I don't like, dropping figures and numbers just per se, but this figure is very interesting. 16,000 kilometers divide India from Chile. So whatever we can do in order to decrease that distance, just by doing initiatives like this, it's very welcome. The second thing I would say is the Indian diaspora. And why I'm saying this is because just in order for me to understand and to learn more about the culture, what I've been doing is I've been talking to successful entrepreneurs, Indian entrepreneurs who have built companies in Chile. And this is important because I can say X, Y, or Z, I can put together an amazing PPT, but I'm not an entrepreneur and I'm not an Indian. I look like Indian. I may look like Indian, and I've been told that multiple times, but I was born in Chile and now I live here. So who best to tell the story than someone who has gone to that journey, who has gone to that process, right? The third opportunity will be programs like a Startup Chile. And it was very interesting, because on Thursday it came out in the newspaper in Chile, one of the biggest newspaper, a article about a study that they did on the Startup Chile alumni. And India ranks 5 among the top countries from where the entrepreneurs go to a Startup Chile. Maybe we didn't know that, maybe people here are not quite aware about the opportunities, but it's there, and there are people who are started, working on that. And the last part, so I finished the first bit, is the open innovation. And sorry that I'm very insisting with this, but it's very important because it's an industry which is very well developed in my country across sectors, from wood, from mining, from etc. So big companies are eager to work with startups, are eager to work with MSMEs. So I'm sure what everyone is saying, okay, but let's talk about the sectors. You have been going around, but let's talk about sectors.
In fact, I also have your presentation here. If you'd like me to share it with everybody, I can share it on the screen, and you may be able to take us through the entire thing. Do you think you'd like to do that?
Well, yeah, more than happy.
Excellent. So there it is. So you can just take us all through it.
Perfect. So for moving it forward, should I move?
I can move it forward. So not a problem.
Perfect. You can move it forward. Just one more. This is about Chile. We can just move forward. Maybe one thing to add in this slide, which is very interesting, is Chile. Well, I think that if people hear about Chile, they think of a chili, right? Because it's very long and it's very thin. Actually, yes. Chile is, I was looking at the numbers, 16,000 kilometers from north to south, from north to south. So it's a very long and thin country. But what is interesting is it's a isolated country when it comes to geography. In the north, we have a desert. In the south, we have the Antarctic. In the east, we have the Andes Mountains. And in the west side, we have the Pacific Ocean, which equip us with a phytosanitary barriers in order for the food industry to grow, right? And then just to finish on this slide, which is, we have 3 main pillars in Chile in order to, 3 pillars which guide our foreign policy and our policy in general, which are sustainability, diversity and inclusion, innovation and digitalization. So those are the 3 pillars that actually guide us. You can move forward. I mean, more than happy for you to share that with the audience. This slide basically talks about what I said before. We are a small economy, and the way in which we differentiate ourselves from our not competitors, but let's say from the international arena. It's basically that we are an open economy, and reflect of that is the different FTAs that Chile has, not only with Asia, but with Latin America in general, and the world, of course. I'm sure if you heard about Chile, and I think that one of our ambassadorial product here in India is walnut. So Chile is one of the top producers of almonds, for example. And this slide what shows is that 172 products from Chile rank in the second or the third largest importers worldwide. And we are very happy to say that we feed every day 150 million people. 150 million people around the globe are taking Chilean products, having Chilean products. We can just move forward. Chile and India, well, the trade relation. Shashmi already tapped into lot of that, so I don't want to be repetitive. But I think that the key message of this slide is since our first partial scope agreement in 2017, the exports between from Chile to India has grown by 700%. So this is a very important thing, because we are not, of course, we really want to move forward and to go beyond the extension. So Chile is also working with India in order to make that happen, so we can increase that number even more. I said that before. We have our ambassadorial products here in India. I said before walnuts. We have also kiwis, apples, etc. Now we are in festival season. So bear this figure in mind: 80% of the nuts that are consumed in Diwali come from Chile. So there you go. There you go. So when you are having some walnuts during Diwali, remember that there is a huge percentage of probability that walnut would come from a country.
Most of the kiwis that I have at breakfast are from Chile. There's no two ways about it. Kiwis are a phenomenon in urban India, and all of us are buying Chilean kiwis. So there's no two ways about it.
Exactly. But of course there are challenges, right? And despite all of the efforts and all of the amazing things that Chile is doing, India only accounts for 1.3% of our world exports, which means that we have a big space to improve, right? Also diversification, right? Actually, 80% of the Chilean export are being focused only 5 products. So the opportunity is there to start increasing or diversifying the products that we do. Of course, there are challenges in terms of logistics, especially for fresh fruit. And of course, duties, which is something that our agricultural office here is trying to work with FSSAI in order to start working on that. So you could have not only kiwis, but also cherries and other products from Chile as well. I said about diversification, and in terms of the food, of the agri-food sector, our aim, of course, is to bring some diversity into it, and we are doing through different ways. For example, tapping into tier 2 cities. One of the things that I realized, it's not a big thing in Chile, but here it is the importance and the power of social media and Instagram and followers, and this is something that we are included right now in our strategy in order for them to help us tell the story that we want to tell, right? And e-commerce. I was very happy that I could finally have an Indian bag, so I could finally use UPI. This is something, and I'm telling you, this is something that we don't have in Chile, that you cannot, with a QR code, pay, and that payment is directly with the bank. And this is an amazing story on how you can build, and how technology can be resilient, right?
Absolutely. No two ways about it.
And then opportunities. I said before, well, all of the points before, or the things that we are doing good in terms of trade and investment are related to agri-food, which is amazing, and we are very proud of it. And the focus of one of the focuses of the office and of Chile will be to go beyond that right now, and to put in your table more Chilean products, more Chilean fruits. However, there is more. And I just summarized 3 opportunities. One, it's basically what we are here, tech and innovation, and especially scale-ups. Basically, a scale-up is a nice concept to refer to companies that follow certain requirements, but it's basically technology-based companies who are growing rapidly. So why this is important? First, because, and this came from an article from the Chilean newspaper, for every peso, which is our currency, that my country invests in innovation, those companies return 58 in terms of VAT. There's no other way to go around it, right? Second, and again, that goes hand by hand with what I said before in terms of Chile being a small country and Chilean companies having to grow and to go internationally quite quickly in order to grow. So Chilean startups who are expanding into Europe, they create twice as many jobs as the ones that are not. So that has an impact in the economy as well, right? And last but not least, scale-ups, which are these highly growing companies, they generate 43% of the new employment in my country, but they only represent 1% of the companies. So I think that the figures speaks by themselves, right? So that's why we want to focus on that. And that's why I really believe that it's not a one-way thing, right? You know, it's a two-way. So if we can also help Indian MSMEs by coming to Chile, growing to Chile, using Chile as a springboard, you will be generating jobs in Chile, you will be boosting our economy, bringing innovation. So that's something that we want to start boosting right now. Sectors. I just named 6 from the economy. If you want to have more information, you're more than happy to scan the QR code, and there is a guideline on the Chilean innovation ecosystem in Chile. Just to name one, mining, and again, it was said before that our main export product it's copper to worldwide and also to India. But what is interesting, specifically in mining, which is located at the north of Chile, around that sector there is an ecosystem built for technologies that are able to tackle different challenges. So, for example, using VR in order to train the truck drivers so that they can decrease the accidents that they have, or VR, again, to train different miners in order to, again, to decrease the different accidents. Or the case of CopTech, which is a nice example of resilience. Basically, copper has antimicrobial properties, right? And during COVID, that became especially important regarding, of course, the transmission of the disease. So what this company did, they basically started analyzing different materials, different metals, and identifying which were the antimicrobial properties. So they create ingredients which, combined with materials, can turn those materials into super materials, just by adding them properties. And I can go on and on and on. What we are doing, we're doing 3 things. And again, it's very interesting for you to know, because it's not that we're going to be doing this event. That's going to be it. The idea is to generate a series of initiatives so we can continue and foster. We're going to be doing some market series entries, India, so we can decrease the knowledge gap and the information gap between India and Chile. We are going to be also doing a second version of the Chile Summit India for next year. Our president will be coming at some point next year, so we'll be doing that as well. And of course, innovation technology will be a pillar of that. And third, there are some programs from ProChile, which what they do is, once the company understands the market, once the company visits the market, they help the company to land in the market, right? We have one for different countries in America. We have another in Europe. So why not India? Why not to have a program which helps Chilean companies to land in India, or Indian companies to land in Chile? Maybe you can move forward one. Creative industries, that's the second opportunity sector that we are working on. Basically, the Ministry for Culture joined forces with ProChile in order to put together a strategy so we can pitch production and car production companies to come to Chile. And again, this is very interesting because that is not only production, it has to do also with tourism. It has to do also with the impact that those production companies have in Chile. So this is something that we're going to be working on. So watch the space. More initiatives will be coming. Doing business with Chile, that's the third part, which is again has to do with sharing information, right? With telling what is happening. So webinars like the one that we are doing, or with roadshows, just by bringing Chilean companies here or bringing Indian companies to Chile. And Expro, this is very interesting. And Expro is an event run by ProChile in which we invite foreign importers, foreign multipliers, of course, depending on the sectors, to come to Chile. And we put together like an agenda and we match them with like-minded providers or exporters, whatever the sector you are. Of course, the language is different. Again, the corporate venture capital is very important in Latin America. So if you are aiming to get investment, you can get there. If you want to invest, and when I say invest, I say open a company and generating, let's say, employment. There is this organization called Invest Chile, which helps you with that. And it's directed to a little bit more big companies, focus on those sectors. But we are here to support the other bit, right? The SMEs and the SMEs companies. And then just to talk about Chile, we are an organization which belongs to the Ministry for Foreign Affairs. We don't do rocket science. It's super easy. I don't want to sell things that are not. We connect supply and demand. Like we have offices in each one of the regions of my country, so they identify the supply. And on the other side, we have more than 50 companies abroad, or 50 offices abroad. So we connect supply with demand. This is the team that is in place in India, and you can see the sectors in which they will be working on. We want to be recruiting one more colleague in due course. So yeah, this is a little bit about us. So whatever, if you want to know more, please, we are here to help you.
Excellent. So that went very well. I mean, you explained most of the stuff that most of us wanted to know. So it's a start for most entrepreneurs that are queued in. We more than 280 people that have been interested in the fact that we are running something on Chile, and there's a good amount of interest that we've received. Now, you talked about startups and the fact that startups are basically sort of a high priority area for the Chilean government. Now, would you be able to elaborate on which are the sectors or the industries that are receiving the most focus, and exactly what in terms of financial or other specifics would be available to entrepreneurs that are innovative and that are looking at going out of India?
Sure. I would say the first one would be IT, and I know you're going to go back to me to say, like, Jorge, you are not saying anything, right? I know, but just bear with me. What has been happening in my country is, well, in the same way that it has been happening in other countries as well, is a digitalization process, right? So we went from paper to the cloud. And now companies are starting to automatize it, right? And then to predict. And why I'm building this difference, because now it's super sexy to talk about AI. And everyone talks about the AI and it's amazing, but you cannot use AI if you don't have your data on the cloud, if you don't have that system. So there is the opportunity in my country for companies who are helping companies to become digital, and to help them to work towards a prediction kind of a thing using AI, for example. One example is one of the Indian companies who joined Startup Chile. Basically, what they're doing is they have developed a AI model in order for the sales team to gather as much information as they can before going to a client, so they can increase the conversion rate at the end of the day. That's one thing. The other is another Indian company which is working around HR. So they develop different software in order to increase the productivity of project management. That's one thing. The second will be clean energy. And again, I said before that sustainability is one of the pillars. Well, clean energy, it's at the forefront of the economy. So any solution that goes around it would be more than welcome in Chile. If I have to give you two examples, one is Chile is aiming to become one of the most competitive countries in terms of green hydrogen. And right now there are a couple of bids for example, electrolyzers. So they can break the molecule of water and we can get the hydrogen of it. Why is it important? Because in Chile we have low-cost energy. In the north we have the solar energy, in the south we have the wind energy. So it's very cheap for us to do that process, right? But also, India is very strong in terms of manufacturing. So what we want is to concentrate most of the value added that we can give to, for example, to green hydrogen. So we can export products that are already with a value added instead of just exporting green hydrogen, right? The same goes with lithium. Again, there are different opportunities around lithium. The third, I would say, is this creative industries and the tourist sector, because of what I said before. Those are from the top of the main three, I would say.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions coming in from people. I don't think I can pose all these questions to you. So there is a Namika. She's asking, what is the opportunity in the garment sector?
Yeah, that's very niche. We can for sure take a look at that, but I would say it's not as strong as other sectors.
In fact, I have another question which is coming from Bhavna Belani, and she's saying that could you please let us know we are seeking a sales representative or a partner company in Chile to help us expand our business in Chile. Can you please let us know how can we find a suitable representative or be able to get referrals for the right people?
I can send you my CV. More than happy. You can drop us a line, and we can surely help you with that. We can connect you with some universities or some institutions which actually like connect with foreign companies with research. I mean with people. Let's say.
In fact, the fact that most of these people. So if you look at the questions that are coming in, everybody is interested in figuring out, how can their own sector, what are the sort of opportunities for all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
So there's loads and loads of people that are putting in information there, and but you see, the objective is, I think we will need to address some of maybe we need to create a compendium of knowledge, I'd say books or booklets or whatever we might call them, in terms of sectors. And then also if we can share an email ID for most of these guys to write to somebody in the Trade Commission or at Pro Chile, and they can then get an answer from all of that on all of their queries.
Absolutely. And this is something that we are working. That's why I said at the beginning that the challenge is information, right? And we have information, but no one wants to read a 50 pages, document. So we want to make it more customized and more like a one-pager. So we are working on that. As soon as we have it, of course, we will be sharing that with you. Absolutely,
Excellent.
100%. And also with the email, we will provide a generic email So you can drop us your inquiries there, and then we can start answering them. Absolutely, this is
So
idea.
friends, all the friends that have asked questions, what we will do is we will get email ID from Jorge, and we will then share it with you, so that then you can directly reach out to his office and talk to the people there, and whatever help you need in Chile. You anyway have information about our international trade development division. You have the email here on the screen, which is itd at indiasmeforum.org. Please do not hesitate to send us specific queries that we can then program and forward to Jorge's team, and Jorge's team can then reach back to us with the information, and we can circulate that back to you. That would not be a problem at all. In fact, moving forward, what I wanted to also ask Jorge is that, you talked about innovation in a big way. You talked about digitalization in a big way. Now, what sort of role do you have? A lot of incubators that are sort of accelerating enterprises, and that sort of incubating enterprises in that place? And how many of those do you have?
Yeah, it's interesting because what happened back in the 90s, what happened was that private funds, let's say, they couldn't invest into companies because they could only invest in companies which were open to the market, right? We changed the regulation so funds could invest into that. The problem that they got is that they didn't have pipeline to invest. There weren't companies to invest. So what Chile did some years after that, basically, they start giving grants to entrepreneurs, to people, right? So they can do their own business. However, they were seeing that the increase of the pipeline was really low. So what they did was creating a Startup Chile, right? The one that I said before. Fine, I already talk a lot about Startup Chile, but it was only one accelerator. So what the government did years later was, instead of giving the money to the entrepreneurs, they give the money to a third party. So that third party administrated money and invested the money into entrepreneurs. So in that way, the entrepreneurial ecosystem in my country started to develop from north to south. Right now, what is happening is that all of those incubators and accelerators are, or whatever, to generate their own business profit, let's say. So they become self-sustainable, right? So they could maintain. So as a consequence of that, we have in Chile three poles. One is in the north, within the mining sector, and you have universities which have incubators and accelerators. You have an organization called Endeavor, which is a worldwide organization which supports entrepreneurs. In the center, Chile has the hub for financial services. A little bit to the coast, there is a hub for creative industries. And in the south, there is a hub for outsourcing and agriculture. And when I say hubs, what I mean by that is that we have a network of incubators and accelerators that belong to universities that are private, but that also has to do with companies that have an open innovation programs. And of course, they attract companies from different places, let's say. And they're all interconnected. Another thing that is important is, one thing is incubators and accelerators, right? But the other thing is to bring recognition to what people are doing.
Yes.
So that's why my country has what it's called the Innovation Prize, which is given once a year in different categories. And that has been running for several years. And the mission of is basically telling the story. This is maybe something that with India we share. We are ashamed sometimes to speak the tea, to tell what we are doing. We are doing amazing stuff, but we are not aware of that. And if the world doesn't know, then the innovation and all of the impact is very local, right?
Very correct. Completely agree. In fact, we are almost out of time, and I have the last question for you here before we complete this presentation and the webinar. So the question is that what is the advice that you would like to give to all micro, small, and medium enterprises? So we have almost 280 odd entrepreneurs that are there on the meeting today. So what is it that you would like to tell them about not just Chile, but also about the market in South America as a whole and the overall possibilities that an entrepreneur can look at from Chile on to the other countries?
Wow. Three things. First, the team is very important. When companies reach out to me and said, Jorge, I want to expand to India, I want to expand, the first question that I say is, who is the person in charge of that? If it is the CEO and the CEO is doing A, B, C, D, and C, then unfortunately, I believe that the company is not quite there yet, because they should have someone who takes care about expansion. Because moving from Chile to India, there is not only one India, there are multiple Indias, and there are multiple things that people need to be aware of that. Second, think globally, global and local. On one side, be aware of your cultural characteristics and of your own culture, and also be aware of the other country's culture. The way in which we do business is different, and this is important to realize it. One example is, from what I've seen, Indian companies are very persistent. So they send an email, and they send you WhatsApp, and another WhatsApp, and another WhatsApp, and another WhatsApp. Chileans, and that's normal, and that's fine, right? But Chileans will see that as, okay, this is too much.
Okay.
So it's not a bad thing. They are not bad or good cultures. We have different ways of doing things, and it's important for us to realize it when we start talking to other countries, right? And the third one is pivoting. We cannot be doing the same forever, because the world is changing. One example, I know that we are running out of time, but in the South, we have a hub for aquaculture. So what I'm seeing right now is that the companies who are selling salmons in different varieties, now they are developing a spin-off, which combine technology, and they are doing that as a completely different sector, in order to explore different ways in which you can keep at the top of the game. So those are the three main advices that I will say.
Excellent. I have a couple of questions, and I feel some of them are really important. There's somebody who has asked you a question. I'm putting it up on the screen now. It's saying green hydrogen. Did you mention you're exporting it or ready to import?
The only we export the first bit to the UK for the automotive sector. It's still on trials, but we can say that we successfully export the first bit.
Excellent. And there's another question from Deepa. She's asking, is Corfo actively working on Chile development projects?
Yes, Corfo has different calls. For example, before joining the event, I saw that there are different calls for clean energy, for lithium, etc. So yes, there are projects on the pipeline, let's say.
There are a lot more questions. I don't think there'll be any end to this, Jorge. So I will have to call it a day. But it was wonderful. I'm requesting Sushma-ji to please come back. It was wonderful talking to you, as usual. I look forward to the opportunities of working together with you for bridging this information gap between Indian and Chilean entrepreneurs. And I am very sure that given the right circumstances, we should host a delegation of entrepreneurs from Chile that are interested in working with Indian entrepreneurs. And similarly, I would be delighted to put together a group of people that are looking at exploring opportunities with Chile, and maybe we can have more and more follow-up meetings with that. Sushma-ji, if you are back here, okay, she's here. So over to you for the closing remarks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Jorge. It was so informative and so insightful. In fact, I must honestly admit that there were so many things that I never knew and I learned, understood for the first time. And I must also confess that I really, saw the map of Chile today, and it looks like the shape of Chile.
I
So
know, I know. Actually, there was a campaign called Chile is not Chile, because like, people tend to
yeah,
confund
but
it.
the map, I mean, the shape, it really looks like a beautiful chili. So, yes, I mean, that's a lovely way to remember. And of course, while you were talking, I was also looking at some of the Spanish sentences and how to speak them. I thought I would want to say something in Spanish, but it was a bit difficult. So, I didn't want to make fun of myself. So,
We will
yeah,
need to do more
but
events together so you can practice, so you can give the closing
yes.
remark in Spanish next time.
Yes, so I am going to speak in Spanish at least little bit next time. But yes, I mean we are overwhelmed with the questions that we are receiving, and we would like. I mean, I would request my team to compile these questions and send it over to you. And we would like to, also. Give some answers to these common questions and maybe also display it on our International Trade Desk website so that the information on Chile is available. We would, as a next step, we would also like to go ahead and organize B2B meetings with the Chilean entrepreneurs with a couple of focus sectors or some select companies. So at least some kind of conversation starts in terms of collaboration or any kind of partnerships or give and take. So I believe that should be the logical step forward. And yes, we'll very soon send out information on today's queries and people who have joined us this evening. So once again, gratitude and heartfelt thank you on behalf of India SME Forum, Jorge, for spending your valuable time. So very grateful to you. I must thank Vinod sir. He's always so wonderful and he makes the entire conversation so interesting. So thank you very much for that, Vinod sir. And thanks to all our members, supporters, viewers who joined us this evening and who are also going to join this program later on YouTube because it's going to be available for them to view. Thanks once again and wish you all a very happy Dashera. So thanks again and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank
Wow.
you.
Oh, see, he learned, huh? I gave him an idea.
Thank you. Bye
Okay,
bye.
thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.